Hello! Welcome to an adventure, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Hopefully the captions are functioning properly. Let me know. There was a mention of some feedback. I don't know what that was. Do let me know if it is present. Now that the microphones should be live, you should be hearing my voice. So if that feedback is there, let me know and I can try and figure out what it is. But honestly, I'm not certain what it would be. Anyway, welcome to an adventure. Today's adventure is somewhat special. It's very echoey. I don't know what to do about that.
I am trying something.
I'm probably getting picked up on both microphones because I'm talking loud. I'm not sure. It's an experiment. How is the balance with the music? Does the music need to come up at all? Somebody mentioned the music was really quiet. Thank you for letting us know that the mics were hot. We were, just gabbing as we were getting the final setup done. So you got to hear a little bit of the behind the scenes. Today is special. Today we're doing baking ads, the good, the bad, and the sad. And I have a special guest with me today. I have Archivist Kira here. Say hi, Kira.
That's me. I'm a special guest. We're blending into each other on the screen.
You can barely hear the music. I will try turning up the music a little bit. And the echo went away.
Oh. Well, that's good that the echo's gone. We are professionals, if you didn't know.
Honestly, I did extensive testing of this setup this morning, but apparently...
To be fair, I did move my mic
should have
from
done
you,
more.
And so maybe that helped.
Actually, I think it was... I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. Golly. I had like 3 audio sources turned on that scene, and we didn't need 3. This is a complicated setup, and when you add in a second camera that is not normally part of the setup, it makes it a little bit even more complicated. Anyway, Kira, how about we talk about what we're going to be doing today?
I don't know. It's your show. What are we going to be doing today?
Well, I'm going to make you talk about things today.
Yeah, so you came to me and said, hey, should we talk about baking? And I said, of course, always. Why would I not want to talk about baking?
Why did I want to talk about baking?
Well, I don't know, but the captioner thinks I want to talk about bacon, so that's even better.
I mean, bacon is okay. We can talk about bacon.
I think we could do a different show where we talk about meat history.
There may be some bacon in the baking.
There could be bacon in the baking. There could be bacon in other things that we could talk about another time.
What's hilarious is
yeah.
I spent so much time setting this up, and we're on screen. We should be reversed.
Yeah.
Because if I look at you, it looks like I'm looking off the screen.
I know, I noticed that. I'm just not going to look at you. That'll make it even weirder for us.
Yeah, no, we just can't look at each other. Or
we could look the other way.
If you're going to look at me, you need to look away from me so that it looks like you're looking at me.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
We'll forget that in about 5 minutes, everyone, because I am a professional.
I could fix it
I'm a
really quickly if it would help.
No, it's fine. We'll make do.
I'll fix it for the next scene.
We'll bake do.
Oh gosh, vamp for a second.
I started already. Oh no. Yeah. So, well, the fun part of this is you were like, hey, let's talk about baking, and there's so much to baking history, as we all know, and even in our collection, as small, quote unquote, as it is, there's a lot to do with baking. And so you were like, well, what do you want to talk about baking? And I was like, you're going to leave this up to me because that's way too many options. But I decided to settle on one of my favorite things, which is getting lost in advertising history. And so specifically today, we are going to look at materials, whatever random materials we pull from boxes that are next to me, and some other books and things we identified to talk about how we advertise products that are used in baking and how we have historically done so, which I think is going to be fun. Although, as I said, I'm not here to educate people. I'm here to creep them out with weird recipes and strange things. So, like the image that was used for promotion for this is one of the first items that I'm going to make us look at because we can't not look at it because it's too much fun. And so, why not start with the gingerbread man? Are you going to reverse us? Is that why I'm vamping?
Yes.
Okay, and then that's going to confuse me, but that's fine.
Well, yeah, I'm fixing it right now as much as I can, although somehow doing that has broken something.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't it? Right?
Why wouldn't it? And yeah, so we're going to be looking at, because we've thrown the finding in command up in both of our channels here.
Awesome. Great. We can talk about that, and we'll get to the
and the reason
land and labor
there's no
shortly.
link to a single finding aid today, of course, is because we're going to look at a bunch of published materials. We're going to look at some things from a particular manuscript collection, but that collection has about 6 boxes with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of individual pamphlets. But you have made a nice list that has information about everything that's in there. Ooh, that got quieter in my headphones, which is nice because my music was loud. Maybe it's just the song ending. Anyway.
It was the song ending.
That's fine.
I can lower the
That's
headphones
fine.
if you want.
I'll figure it out. So we're going to look at some publications. Incidentally, we're going to stumble into the territory of our children's cookbook and nutrition collection because it's hard not to do that. But I don't want to spoil everything just yet. So, in my vamping, so we want to save some of that for when we actually start looking at stuff about what advertising's purpose is and who we're advertising to and how and why. The big questions, the existential questions about baking. And advertising.
We'll be there shortly. I'm almost getting this to work. This should have been really easy. It decided not to be.
Famous last words. So my favorite things to bake are sweets, but we will try to look at things, I don't know, we're going to look at a lot of stuff that's probably, like, I'm a big cookie baker, but we'll look at some things that are maybe not all dessert-based. Because, of course, you can bake things that are not dessert-based. That's allowed, I suppose.
Wait, you can bake things that aren't dessert-based?
You can.
Since when?
I don't know. We'll find out, because we're going to look at some historical publications. So we can find out exactly when that was allowed, or not allowed.
I broke the scenes.
You broke the scene.
I don't know how or why they're broken.
Are you
All
sure
I did was
didn't do
move
it?
things around, and then suddenly the camera doesn't work anymore.
Uh-oh.
Which, the camera works fine. It's just really weird. Regardless, we're not going to bog ourselves down in that.
No.
I'm going to just pretend that it works, because the important person is on is the camera that's working, which is you. And I can fix my camera later.
I mean, it's really about the stuff, not me. That's way more important than I am.
It is. Sadly, I'm broken on both of the scenes.
You're broken everywhere.
I don't know why it did it, but it did.
It looks like you're...
But I'm going to do
things?
this.
You should do things.
We're going to do this, and we're going to actually get to the land and labor acknowledgement and see... you can see Kira, but you can't see me. So if you would like to read it, that'd be great. Can you see it?
No, I can't.
Oh, no,
I got too
okay.
many things in the way.
I don't know why it's not showing me at the moment. We like to start out this scene, or the... Let me do this so you can actually see me. Maybe.
I mean, I could keep... Oh, now we can see you.
It's the wrong scene, though.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Aha!
We'll do this. I'll fix the cameras while Kira gets started on the content. This is the way to go, because I have two people here today. We like to start out the show by looking to Virginia Tech's land acknowledgement and labor recognition. Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tulo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that legislation and practices like the Morrill Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands, both locally and in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tulo and Monacan peoples and with Native nations. We commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. We must also recognize that enslaved Black people generated revenue and resources used to establish Virginia Tech and were prohibited from attending until 1953. Through inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to prosim, that I may serve. In the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community.
So we still have an echo.
The echo has returned. I know what caused that, and I'm sorry that... yeah, so the echo should hopefully be gone now. My apologies there. We do like to start the stream with reading through the land acknowledgement and labor recognition. They are important to the history of this institution, and it's important to keep them in mind as we're doing things. The echo is still there. I have no idea. Let's go to a scene that didn't have it.
Yeah, because this scene is apparently when it started. Okay, if I... whoop.
Let us know if the echo is here on this scene. I will attempt to troubleshoot it as I am troubleshooting the lack of my face. But while I do that, Kira, would you take it away and Gingerbread Man? And we're going to start talking
about content?
Ads.
Wait, we should talk about content?
Good, bad, and sad.
Is this a content show?
Sometimes.
Sometimes it's a content show? Cool. So enter the Little Gingerbread Man, who I am very excited to bring to the stream. I'm going to have to get used to all these cameras. I'm used to watching you do all of this, and then I'm like, oh, it's my turn. So I mentioned earlier we're going to dip into a little bit of the collecting that we do around children's cookbooks and nutrition, as well as advertising history, because on the surface you might not think those things overlap. Surprise, they do. Enter the Little Gingerbread Man. So on the surface, this looks like it might be a storybook for children, and it is, but it's also something else. So we have our fun little gingerbread man on the cover, sort of typical like Candyland illustration behind him. And this is a little publication that we have, and it is from 1923. There we go. I feel like depictions of the gingerbread man keep getting creepier and creepier in this story. So like, warning, it's just weird. But this is the Little Gingerbread Man, and as I mentioned, we're talking about advertising history. So lo and behold, look what jumps out at us on the title page. We have Royal Baking Powder Company, 108 East 42nd Street, New York. 42nd Street.
42nd Street.
Do we need to break out into...
did the gingerbread man dance and sing?
He might. Actually, we're going to find out when we get in here. Because, I
need to know. Was he a star on Broadway?
He might have been. We're going to find out. So, Royal Baking Powder Company is... Well, I mean, we could guess. What do you think they made?
Maraschino cherries.
No.
No?
Maybe, actually, no, I don't think they did. I think they just, I was like, maybe they did. Some of these companies made a lot of different things. So Royal is a baking powder company, actually still around. They've been around, I actually don't remember what year they started, but they've been around for a very long time.
It's the Royal.
It's the Royal, yeah. Many baking powder companies have actually been around for a really long time. We'll see some other examples today, probably. So things that you might get on the shelf today are actually companies that have been around for a really, really, really long time. Some of the things we might see today are from companies you've never heard of, but they were merged into some of these other companies. So Royal is the company that's been around for a very long time. But the thing about this is, why is a baking powder company producing a children's book?
Why not?
It's like I didn't even have to prompt you.
Sorry, I did an exhibit in the summer, a really small one on ice cream, and there were little like children's rhymes, like Mother Goose. Actually, I think they used some Mother Goose rhymes.
Yes.
In these little booklets. They were like pocket-sized books to advertise ice cream, but they
like
were children's rhymes.
Yeah. So we have what is in fact an entire story for children, not written in rhyming couplets. That would have been even better. The first time I saw it, I was like, it looks like it should be written that way.
It probably should have been.
Actually, it is ABCB, so it is in a rhyme scheme. It's just not the one I thought it was, now that I'm looking at it. That was the lit major in me coming out. We're not going to get into the poetry of a royal time. So anyway, we have these great illustrations. We have what ultimately is a very rhyme-schemed poem/story as we go through the book. But some things to point out. Like, what's with the giant baking powder can, like, front and center?
Well, it's Royal Baking Powder made the book.
Right. So as we go through, you can see it's a whole story about the royal time and this particular fantasy land. But it also has recipes. So if you want to know how to make royal cinnamon buns, which look really good, I can go on some now. Now it looks like they're on your head as if you're wearing them as a crown. That's even better.
Well, I suppose, if you buy this book for your children and then your children suddenly have a recipe for royal cinnamon buns, does that mean you have to buy a little kid's like easy bake oven?
Ooh, maybe. They didn't have easy bake ovens yet in 1923, but whatever the precursor was might be there. So there's a few things that stand out for me about this publication. One, it's written for children, it's illustrated for children, but it also has recipes. And if we flip through, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But if we flip through, more of the illustrations have this canister of baking powder, almost as if it's a weird extra in the scene. It just sort of hangs out there. Oh, look, there it is again.
Okay, but is this good, bad, or sad?
So the question is, because I want to make a point. My point here is the baking powder canister, you can make with baking powder. We have our gingerbread man.
And cake.
And a pancake keep appearing. They appear the whole way through here. They also have more recipes. So, my theory behind this is, this was a storybook for children, but who's going to read this storybook to the children? We don't want to reinforce gender stereotypes, but unfortunately we're going to have to reinforce gender stereotypes. It's 1923.
1923... It might not be the mom.
But
it might be the babysitter. Or the governess, I suppose.
But at the very least, this idea of this book for children, and this is not the only one, we can look at another example of this, is designed for children, but also taking into account who's going to be reading it to the children to be like, hey, you should buy this product because then you can make these things that will make the children happy. Like sugar cookies, or buns, or birthday cake. And I just love how the can keeps going up, like it's just an extra. It just sits out there in the back of the scene, like, hello.
Well, it's an essential part of the scene.
And then there's my favorite word when it comes to baking, surprise. You should never put the word surprise in a recipe.
Baking shouldn't be a surprise.
I think these are surprise muffins because they're filled with jam, but I don't feel like the word surprise should show up in a recipe because I don't ever want to be surprised.
Baking especially shouldn't be a surprise. Baking is like chemistry.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be surprised when you're doing chemistry.
Yeah. And so to further reinforce all of this, on the very bottom of the back cover, it says, send for the new Royal Cookbook, Royal Baking Powder. It's free and full of delicious recipes for little folks and big. And then it gives you the address to send away to.
Plus
So
subtle marketing for the kids who
Yeah,
are going
plus-
to remember seeing this can and recognize it
And then
when
they're
they
gonna be
start their
like,
own cooking.
where's the red can? Most kids probably aren't going to be that specific about their baking powder.
Except-
But yeah, Hannah's correct. Like, this
Yeah.
is subtle marketing for children who are going to help reinforce.
Whatever brand your parents used growing up is the brand you know, and that's
Yeah.
what you're probably going to use.
Yeah.
I know from personal experience, moving across country and suddenly not knowing any brands and because I hadn't realized that they were like local to the region I was in for like milk and things like that. I just thought like these are the brands of milk, and then you move to another part of the world or another region and suddenly those brands don't exist.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point. A lot of baking powder companies were regional until they began to be merged into conglomerates starting like in the mid 20th century. Actually, in the early 20th century. There used to be like kind of had its own baking powder. And by the early part of the 20th century, they kind of started merging as the companies bought each other out. And so you see fewer and fewer companies, but sometimes they're still branded locally or regionally the way you would expect. That actually still happens today.
Okay.
And that's parts of it. So that was a sort of thing that happened as a result of business practices because, companies buy other companies and merge together. It's also partially a result of the baking powder wars, which is a really fascinating topic. There's a really
Baking
great
powder
book about
wars.
it.
Yeah.
But in the early 20th century, there were baking powder companies. We might see a little of it today. Who would advertise, well, we don't put this terrible chemical in our baking powder, but these other people do. And so there were literal advertising wars around baking powder. There's a really great book by a food historian, Linda Civitello, about the baking powder wars, like that's what it's called. And then, of course, the other thing that ties into that is the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1906, when people were finally forced to put on the canisters or on your packaging exactly what was in your product.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe they're making these people put the list of ingredients on the package? What?
But that also affected those conversations because you couldn't claim somebody was putting something in their product if it wasn't then on their package because they weren't putting it in their product. Now, there was an element, an actual ingredient in baking powder that the huge debate was whether it was actually bad or not, and that so whether it actually was separate from like people targeting other people and saying it's terrible. Anyway.
Before we move on, we have two things that need to happen.
Yes.
First, chat, you need to let us know, was the gingerbread book that we just looked at, was that good, bad, or sad?
Oh yeah.
And second, I was busy doing tech stuff, so I don't know how much you introduced yourself.
Oh, people like I just assume people know who I am. I don't usually do that either, so that's
it's
really
fine.
bad.
Let me introduce you before we go any further because
If you saw the tweet, I am the ASSTDIR.
you are a fellow archivist here at Virginia Tech named Kira, and I didn't introduce the show or me or any of that.
Technology problems.
Because
Hashtag
I got
not
distracted
sponsored.
by the
I'm
tech
trying to hide my
issues.
beverage.
So we're just gonna do a little bit of that right now. I'm just pulling up the info that I need.
I mean, I hang out and chat enough. People should.
Here we go. Here's what I wanted. So this is Archival Adventures. We are streaming live right now
is?
to two channels on Twitch, twitch.tv/VTUL Studios, as well as twitch.tv/Rogan27. This is a show that I do weekly, almost every Wednesday. There will be 1 week coming up real soon on the 28th. There will not be an episode, but there will be one on the 21st, and we will be back on the first Wednesday in January. And what this show is, I pull something out of the archives and we look at it together. Most of the time I have no idea what's in it, and so we go on an adventure and discover what is in this archival collection together. Hi Iron Trout, how are you? And I should say hi Hannah and hi Philip. Anybody else who showed up in chat who I missed, hello, thank you for being here. I'm just gonna increase the chat size here just a tad because I can't see it.
I I'm with you, Hannah. The creepy illustrations were like the stuff that did it for me.
So this is the end of the second year of this show. Or like we're at the end. There's one more episode next week of the second year doing this show. And as we did at the end of last year, I've brought wonderful Archivist Kira.
Oh, is this a thing we're gonna have to do now?
To
and
join.
Every year I show up.
Well, I am looking at inviting other guests on the show for certain topics and things like that. But last year, Kira joined us and we talked about holiday cocktails. This year, we're talking about baking. And I do have a little bio for Kira that I should potentially read. It's here somewhere.
This is a show about content, not me.
So, as you know, I'm Anthony Wright Day Hernandez. I'm the Unity Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech. And I run this show, if anyone can be said to. Joining me today is Kira Dietz, the Assistant Director for Special Collections and University Archives. She has a Master of Arts in English Literature and a Master of Library Science with a specialization in archives, records, and information management. Since joining the department in her previous role as Acquisitions and Processing Archivist in 2009, she's been working with the food and drink history collecting area, facilitating its expansion, as well as being the go-to person for reference, instruction, and outreach. She's also wrangler of the Food Timeline web resource. Food and drink past and present is both a personal and professional passion of hers. And when she's not at work, she's an avid cook, baker, and slightly more than amateur mixologist. Since she's fascinated with how we've historically advertised food, among other things, when the idea of baking came up, it seemed like a fun topic to explore for this episode of Archival Adventures. Blame her for the rubber bands.
I am not responsible for the rubber bands.
And I will let you decide if you want to.
I'm not taking responsibility for the rubber bands.
Mention modding duties.
Well, I mean,
you mod the library's channel.
I mod the library's channel. I also do other streams on the library's channel. I mod Rogan's channel. I am in many places.
I wasn't gonna say it
fine.
if you weren't comfortable.
I think people might already. Some people probably already know that.
So yeah, Kira is one of the mods for my channel as well as for the library's channel, and it's a pleasure having her join and contribute
cookies.
to the chaos.
Because I baked all these cookies for the holiday party tomorrow and for like everything, and I could have had like a backdrop cookie. We are wearing costumes,
but
also we should tell people
food and
can't see them on
archival
camera.
materials don't really mix. But yeah, we did. We wore aprons, aprons with unique baking advertising on them. And
my favorite part
I'm going to stand up just a tad, and you can see my apron here.
There we go.
Well, I'm just going to stand all the way up because you'll see the apron. Actually, I could switch us to the other scene. We can see how this goes.
Well, and my favorite part was we both thought about wearing aprons completely separately, but then I forgot, but luckily you remembered them. So like you came in my office this morning, you were like,
so,
I have
show off
aprons.
yours.
And then I was like, I didn't bring one, and you were like, don't worry, I have one for you too. So.
Yeah. So we've got Mrs. Lovett's meat pies and the Slayer's cake represented today. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we actually introduced who you were before we moved any further on. And I had to show off the aprons because we wore them and then they're getting cut off by the crop of the images. Anyway, did we decide good, bad, sad?
Yeah, well, Hannah thought that it was, in general, good. Decent product placement, stuff for all ages. The only bad, sad part was the creepiness of some of the illustrations, which I fully agree with.
I agree. It's priest, not
and
pork.
Now we've gone feel on Sweeney Todd in chat.
I do know, these meat pies taste like pork. Where did you get pork? My problem with that one wasn't so much that they incorporated the product into the illustrations. It was that the illustrations were creepy overall.
Yes.
The gingerbread man was scary looking.
I don't know that this one's going to be a whole lot better, but it's in the same vein. And then we're going to move away from these. But these I usually, when I use these in the classroom, I kind of use the gingerbread man and Billy and Bunbury together, which also cracks me up.
I don't know this one.
For the Oscar Wilde reference.
I had
like sort of
seen
pseudo
the other
reference.
Wait, there's an Oscar Wilde? I don't know Oscar
really.
Wilde.
Bunbury's a joke from one of the Oscar Wilde plays. Anyway, don't worry about it.
And if you want me to zoom in at all.
I think we're okay, because this one's for kids have kind of big text, and I'm like stacking things up on my other side. We are Bunburying Key Squared. Exactly. Thank you.
Hi, Key Squared.
Yay, we're Bunburying.
I'm glad somebody knows besides
We'll talk
Kira. I don't, but that's also not surprising.
So this one, not Royal, Price Baking Powder Factory in Chicago, Independence Boulevard. Not much better with the illustrations. We got like mushroom umbrellas and soda fountain things, and
it's a different style.
It's a different style.
And honestly, I think these don't disturb me as much as the weird pancake man and the gingerbread man.
But if we were to zoom in to my point earlier, in the copyright statement here, very tiny in this corner, it's copyright 1925 by Royal Baking Powder Company. So Price.
Okay, I'm zooming in. You're going to need to shift the book to show it.
I can't. Other way?
Yep.
I don't know how to do this. There we go. There it was. Royal Baking Powder Company.
So
different
same
factory,
company.
Different location, owned by the same parent company.
I see.
1925. It's all a conspiracy and a monopoly, but we'll get there. So very much the same, different art style as you have observed, but same kind of item. We have cute little rhyming poetry stories with some very strange illustrations.
Why is the water yellow?
That is a question. Why are the cupcakes on candy stilts? I mean, obviously because the water's yellow.
Oh,
but
well, the water must be yellowish because those candy stilts are green and they're getting their dye into the water.
Maybe. But in this case, we can go Bunburying because Bunbury is a tasteful town. Oh, I think it's supposed to be syrup. It's a syrup sea.
Oh.
Where the sponge cake fish and the waffle whales disport themselves in glee.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize it was a waffle.
Yeah. It's a waffle, a whale waffle.
That's awful.
Oh look, we've got more surprises.
Cocoa raisin muffins.
But also muffin surprises, which are different from surprise muffins, but they're actually not. They're the same recipe.
They're the same recipe.
Well, it's the same company as we have established.
What is the surprise in the surprise muffins?
I think this one is, it's jelly or candied fruit or.
So it's got like a thing inside of it.
Yeah, you just put like a spoonful of currant jelly or candied fruit.
So like
or something.
modern, when muffins became big. Oh gosh, Key Squared, that's excellent. You deserve points. I don't remember how to give them.
I got it.
But like modern cupcakery, where you've got the cupcake shops with the people doing all the designer cupcakes, and they'll put like a chocolate ganache in the middle of the cupcake that's hidden. So something along those lines.
So apparently the townspeople go to the coffee ring.
Okay.
Or ye coffee ring.
The coffee ring.
Yes, the coffee.
As I have been instructed since I got here, that Y-E was actually pronounced the.
Yeah. We have a cookie clock as opposed to a cuckoo clock.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Until you said it,
it
didn't register.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and the way they spell it makes it clear.
Yeah.
It's COOKY.
Well,
it is a cookie clock,
and
not a cuckoo clock.
We're back to more pancake people. This is Jack.
Still not as disturbing as the other one.
Because he's a flapjack. I love it. It's like I don't even have to write the pun for me today.
Oh dear.
But we don't give points to things that are on stream as it has been previously established.
I'm just gonna believe that this is where you learned.
So you can make flapjacks. You can make flapjacks with rice. And to be fair, Price's baking powder was marketed as Dr. Price's baking powder, which of course makes it sound even more.
Was this part of the? This could have been on my Flim Flam Medicines episodes?
Well, yeah, I mean, it lends a certain, I don't know why we're flapping him P-squared. That's an excellent question. It lends a certain gravitas to baking powder. I also just make another pun without realizing it.
Did you?
I was making a joke at least. So anyway.
Flapping at Jack from Mass Effect sounds... Oh, yeah, you would not want to flap at Jack. She would not be on board for that.
Yeah, so we got some donut recipes. We got some more
donuts,
somewhat disturbing illustrations. A book that is in need of preservation because the staples have just melted, basically. Probably the same
staples
sugar
don't
cookie.
normally melt.
Well, not really melted so much as just anyway. I'm pretty sure these are the same sugar cookies, much like the same muffin recipe, except they use Dr. Price's baking powder instead of Royal baking powder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can see we start to get back to our advertising, right? There's this gentleman in the middle of the table with a proclamation about Dr. Price's baking powder. To which the kid and mom figure are both very excited.
It sure seems like they are.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some butterscotch curls, some peanut cookies, and then some animal crackers.
Quite excited in their 1920s hairdo and makeup.
Yeah.
Where your line of thought was originally going is that you keep meaning to look up the etymology of that name for pancakes. Flapjacks, you mean.
Oh.
And you never remember to do it when you're near an OED.
Yeah.
I'm not certain what the etymology is, but I can
Not
check.
that I like to do my own advertising, but there could be some information on that on Food Timeline.
I'm not prepared for this, but what is the Food Timeline?
It's just foodtimeline.org.
I'm gonna chat. I can do it in both chats real quick.
Okay, I can also do it in one. So Food Timeline is a website that we took over management of here at Virginia Tech in 2020. Its original creator was a reference librarian, yay! And she did amazing work for 15 years on this website before she passed away. And we took over management in 2020. It is now a project that I am, I call myself the wrangler for, because there's a lot of wrangling involved. And we are working on it. We are finally at a point where we are able to do some new content. We're going to do some content updates. The future phase of the project will be giving it a new UI and a new way to interact and interface with it. So there could be some information on pancakes, flapjacks there. The site's creator, Lynn Oliver, she did tons and tons of research on so many things that I can't even get through. I have not been through the majority of the Food Timeline yet, but I am almost certain there's got to be something on pancakes. Also, what did you find?
So the flap portion, so apparently the word flapjack can be traced back to the 1500s, or the late 1500s. It's a combination of the verb flap, in the sense similar to flip or toss,
Yep.
and Jack, which comes from the proper name, a variation of John, and is sometimes used in the name of objects such as Applejack or Skipjack, but I have not yet figured out why. So flap, we've got Jack.
Further
Still
complicated
uncertain.
by your search results saying pancake versus flapjack versus
Hot
cakes
cakes.
versus hoe cakes, not even in this
What about
list,
griddle cakes?
versus griddle cakes versus this. We could do an entire show on pancakes, which we did not prepare to do. But,
We're not planning that today. That is for certain.
anyway, so let's see. This one is a little more subtle. Like every illustration does not have a giant baking powder can.
Yeah, it is much more subtle.
This I like because this is 1925. It has party cakes, aka cupcakes.
Cakes. Ooh, let's see what Edym Online says about it. Edym Online, the online etymology dictionary, apparently. I have never been to this site before. This is a test. Pre-1600 from flap, verb, and jack, noun, using the personal name in its generic object sense. So called from the process of baking it by flipping and catching it in the griddle when done on one side. Flap as a verb, early 14th century, Dash about, shake, beat the wings, later strike or hit, a mid-14th century, probably ultimately imitative, meaning to swing about loosely, 1520s, related flapped, flapping. Jack, noun, late 14th century, appears to be from jack, J-A-K-K-E, a mechanical device, and also from the masculine name Jack. Proper name was used in Middle English for any common fellow, and therefore extended to various appliances which do the work of common servants in the 1570s. They also used generically of male animals, and then also as a portable contrivance for raising weight by force from below, as the name of a device for pulling off boots from the 1670s.
Well,
Jack in a pack of playing cards is a German Bauer peasant. Slang meaning money. By 1890, let's see. Jack towel, one sewn together at the ends. Round of roller is from 1795.
welcome to Flapjack Talk.
Yeah. So basically, though, from this, it seems like we got flap. Flap is fine. It's referring to the act of flipping it over. Jack. Why it applies to the object when it seems like from this description it would refer more to the tool being used or to the person doing the act of flipping the pancake. I'm uncertain. That is not, but here Jack was apparently a mechanical device, but also any such device that replaced the labor of common peasants or servants. So flipping over a pancake would be the work of common servants, I suppose.
What were they doing with their staff that they couldn't substitute? I don't know.
Oh, key squared. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to dig too much deeper into this. That was from...
No, we'll save that for Flapjack Talk.
That was from Etym Online, the online etymology dictionary, apparently.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things on here about when and how flapjack came about.
So as soon as I got done saying, hey, look, they didn't put cans of baking powder all over this publication.
They did?
They put one here.
Well, one.
One. But also, if we go to the last page. So fun fact about this one too.
Tell your mother.
It's not subtle. We were talking with the last publication about the idea that this was advertising not necessarily children, because children are the ones going out and buying products, but at the parents who would be reading the story. And lo and behold, this one ends with like cakes he met. I can't read today. Cakes like he met in Bunbury. His mother makes him now. And if you want some too, this book will tell your mother how.
No, it says, and if you want some too, this book will tell your mother how.
Yeah. So, not so subtle.
Very not subtle.
This is a case where the advertising beats us over the head. Look. Quite literally.
Hey, look, it's Dr. Price's phosphate baking powder.
Right, and phosphate was one of those ingredients that caused a lot of infighting about whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, or good for you or bad for you. Or...
By calling it Dr. Price's phosphate baking powder, I think it definitely is part of the patent medicine sort of vogue of the time.
Yeah.
The prince flapped about the room like a crazed pheasant. In a fit of pique, he kicked his boot jack. Arg! He screamed like some kind of griddle cake. Oh my. Sure. Your mother to you, too, baker man. Yeah. Like, great. Thanks, Baking Powder Company,
Thanks,
for
baking powder.
making me feel like my mom doesn't already know how to make proper baked goods.
Yeah.
How insulting.
Let's see. Maybe we should abandon bacon powder for a little while. We'll come back to it because it's hard not to.
Bacon powder sounds interesting.
Also bacon powder.
That's
that would
for a
be
different
good.
Stream.
That's for the bacon stream.
Or the appliances stream where we
yeah.
learn about freeze drying and pulverizing items to make powders.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide. I think we should do this one first because this is the product people are going to know, maybe more likely know, and then we'll talk about the product that is similar product that people might not know quite as
Sometime
well.
in the spring, we are going to do an entire stream on this.
Oh, okay.
Not just this brand, but
yeah.
this.
Okay,
what
well,
this
we're going to
is.
preview that then with a couple of items today because
we have a lot of stuff on this.
oh boy, do we ever.
Can you all see what it says?
The cover is a little beat
I'm
up.
going to zoom in a little bit just so that we can get
Also,
centered on the title.
The thing I
and
love about
bigger.
cookbooks is they're often dirty and a little gross, but that's just the love because they've been used. Much like a good apron. The story of Crisco.
This is what you forgot to get at the store? I'm sorry.
Crisco? Oh, vegetable shortening.
615 tested recipes and a calendar of dinners by
Yeah.
Marion Harris Neal.
So, the reason I pulled this is for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to look at the story of Crisco because it's got some fun points to it where it's like...
El Crisco.
where it's like, hey, here's why this is better than other things. Two, the woman who wrote this book is Marion Harris Neal. She's one of the women in the early part of the late 19th, early part of the 20th century, where you see that she was a cookbook author and columnist. Usually, these women were, or many of these women. That there's some other publications like this. But then they would start associating themselves with a brand. Mm-hmm. So it's, like I'm going to tie myself to a brand. And then
This is where
her
Betty
name
Crocker
gets
comes
put-
from?
Yeah, it's where Betty Crocker comes from. There was a mother and daughter team of cookbook authors, Christine Herrick and Marion Harland. They did the same thing. They were attached to all kinds of brands, and their name on a brand was something that women recognized and said, oh, well, if she supports this brand, I want to. Really interesting article about Marion Harland and her flipping her stance on canned goods at one point in time.
So it started with actual women who were getting famous and then became associated with the brand, and it moved into brands making up fake women.
Yes, because you needed the ideal representation of things. Yeah.
We're going to shift you sideways a little bit because I zoomed out so we can get both pages on at the same time.
Yeah,
There.
that's what I figured. Okay, so here we have the story of Crisco.
There's delay on the monitor
Yeah.
between the
we'll
monitor
get
and
it
what
eventually.
I actually see. And I have tape with arrows that tells me where the center should be. I just didn't look at it.
I see Iron Trout is already preparing for arguments that
Lard
we're about
is
to
better.
encounter in the book.
Tongue fake fat. Pure pork fat for the win.
It's not fake fat, it's vegetable shortening.
I will say, very recently in the shops, lard was cheaper than vegetable oil.
It happens.
And so we did end up buying some lard not too long ago because we were doing fried foods and the vegetable oil was much more expensive.
So this is from 1914, Procter & Gamble, a company that is still around today. This is the 5th edition of many, 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 many editions. This book was printed and reprinted and reprinted and reprinted. And as we said, it's largely a recipe book and a calendar of dinners.
So sorry, I know we're about to look at the story. This is dated 1913.
Yeah, and it's
Or
the
1914.
and it's the 5th edition.
When was Crisco invented
I
as
believe
a
it
brand?
was the late 19th century.
Okay, I'm going to check the food timeline.
Yeah, it may not be on there, but Crisco, and there's Crisco, but of course Crisco is not the only 1911. So actually this was pretty early.
Oh, you just Googled.
Yeah.
I was going to check the food timeline.
It's fine.
I'm silly.
But the other thing is, it wasn't the first vegetable shortening. I'm pretty sure there were ones before it.
Oh yeah,
But
I'm pretty sure we have ads for one that, anyway.
yeah. So anyway, and we're going to look at another one after this that you may not be quite as familiar with. Crisco, of course, has survived to today. I was just baking with it this past week. So it has a whole recipe. I don't know that we'll go through the whole book, but I wanted to touch on we have this whole thing. But what I really wanted to touch on was this beginning, because it's the story of Crisco. Also, we have butter, we have lard, we have Crisco, and oleomark, and margarine, and let's see, what are the there's all these great names for these substitutes that they came up with along the way. By the way, this
Butter?
this book, or No, fats. We have more information from professionals who have fancy letters after their names.
Oh,
That's,
the word
yeah.
fat is
Yeah.
one of the most interesting in food chemistry. It is the great energy producer. John C. Olson, AM, PhD, in his book Pure Food, states that fats furnish half the total energy obtained by human beings from their food. The three primary solid cooking fats today are butter, lard, and Crisco. There are numbers of substitutes for these, such as butterine, oleomargarine, and lard compounds.
Lard compounds.
The following pages contain a story of unusual interest to you. For you, eat.
Yeah,
It
it is.
Also, just gonna note, do not take dietary advice from this channel or this stream.
No, please don't. Wait, I know you have to say that a lot on the stream, and we do need to reinforce that today. So anyway, the story, this is fun. We talk about, I could get lost forever in the history because this has one of my favorite sentences in it. America has been termed a country of dyspeptics, which if you also get into the history of some other things, some other foods and food products, that comes up again and again. Jell-O has an entire advertising campaign around this. There are some other sort of histories around pieces of food history where this idea of people, Americans, having dyspepsia and products that are going to do away with that because vegetable shortening is, as we're going to learn, potentially easier to process than within your body than like lard or some other things.
Okay.
I don't know.
Apparently there's something called double butter.
Double butter.
It's on the timeline.
That sounds good.
I was looking to find out what
It's
the
butter,
first
but it's extra.
shortening brand was while you talk about the book.
Yeah. Yeah, so America has been termed a country of dyspeptics. It is being changed to a land of healthy eaters. For this national digestive improvement must be gratefully recognized. Fun fact, somebody clearly stored a newspaper clipping in this book at one point in time.
Yeah,
So
you can see. It was probably a recipe.
Would double butter be clarified butter?
I will look. Double butter. What is double butter? Doppio burro? Interesting question. We find two explanations. One, concentrated butter containing twice the normal amount of fat. Two, double the butter used for the usual recipe.
It's just more, it's higher fat butter. So it's the opposite of it's more fat butter.
Hi, Puddle Glove!
So we have, I love this statement, great foresight was shown in the making of, it's literally more butter. So, let's see, great foresight was shown in the making of Crisco. Our country was outgrowing its supply of butter. What was needed, therefore, was not a substitute, but something better than these fats. Some product which would not only accomplish as much in cookery, but a great deal more.
How? What? How could we outgrow our supply of butter when at the time most of the country was still rural and people still had cows to get the milk from and make butter?
I don't know. I don't know. But that's what they're telling us.
Okay. Hi, Hannah.
They don't give us an explanation of
You were here before, but shortening or lard are your preferred fats to use when making pie crusts, and you usually use shortening because you get slightly better results. Cool. I just learned to make pie crusts like 2 years ago, and I do it with butter, but I've never tried with shortening. Not just a random name with extra letters behind, but someone a few people at the time might have actually heard of. Wait.
Yes, they created a new shortening.
American Institute of Chemical Engineering. John C. Olson was one of the founders of the American Institute of Chemical Engineering.
Yeah.
So a name people would have recognized.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Trot, if you just tell people there's a shortage to sell your product, that's clear advertising. Back to our,
Yeah.
See, it's still on brand for today's discussion.
Manufacturing,
Manufacturing something.
yeah, manufacturing a need. It's like saying our vegetable shortening doesn't have any lead in it.
I mean, I hope it doesn't.
And printing that prominently across your package will have everybody scrambling to say, well, ours doesn't have lead in it, even though none of them had lead to begin with.
That's true. So this story of Crisco is doing a lot of name dropping because we had John C. Olson. They also name drop Ellen Richards, who was the first woman to graduate from. Oh boy, she created this really interesting food calorie calculator of sorts. We actually have it in our collections, and I'm trying to remember which Ivy League she was one of the first women to graduate from. No, it's not her.
Not her.
It's Ellen H. Richards.
That's what
Oh
I
yeah,
typed.
it is H. It's H. Swallow. That's right. So I think that is her.
Ellen Henrietta Swallow
Yes.
Richards, safety engineer, environmental chemist.
I forgot where she went to school though, because she was like the first woman to graduate from
Vassar.
Mm.
She entered Vassar, but
Right.
maybe that's not what you were thinking of.
Yeah.
MIT, first woman admitted.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
a Bachelor of Science
Yeah,
from
yeah.
MIT.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. And she wrote this really cool publication that maybe we can bring on the show another time, because it's kind of cool. But anyway, so there's a lot of name dropping in, like, oh, well, she wrote this book on the chemistry of cooking and cleaning, because she's kind of one of the women who was a leading movement in the science side of home economics and that sort of thing, because she had a background in the sciences side, and then she was like, hey, this all ties into food. We can make this, like, domestic science is the term that was used at the time, and that's kind of a thing that she was, but she had this chemistry background. So yeah, Crisco, this we learn all about the making of Crisco in here, but it is not marketed until perfect.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Not until it's
It is
perfect.
Yeah. So the Crisco process, in the process of making it, the Crisco process at the first stage of its development gave at least the basis of an ideal fat, namely a pure vegetable product, differing from all others in that there was absolutely no animal fat to be added to the vegetable oil to produce proper stiffness. This is but one of many distinctive advantages sought and found. So then, it also solved the problem of eliminating certain objectionable features of fats, such as rancidity, color, odor, smoking properties when heated.
People care about that.
Exactly. After 4 years of severe tests, after each weakness was replaced with strength, the government was given this fat to analyze and classify. The report was that it answered to none of the tests for fats already existing.
That is so classic.
Gotta trust it.
No,
Gotta trust it.
I've heard that exact phrasing in looking at old advertising materials, probably the patent medicine things, talking about after we identified each weakness and replaced them with strength.
Crisco is neither a butter, a compound, nor a substitute, but an entirely new product, a primary fat. In 1911, it was named Crisco. I wish I knew why, because they don't tell us in the story of Crisco why it was named Crisco.
Maybe it was named after someone named Chris.
Could be.
Severe tests just sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
And not giving a result one would want to eat. Yeah.
And then finally, this is an economical product. At first, it looked very much as if Crisco might be a high-priced product. It costs its discoverers many thousands of dollars before a package ever reached the consumer's kitchen.
Well, it's clearly such a superior product. Why wouldn't it cost more? This is a product meant for the rich.
Crisco was not offered for sale as a substitute or for housewives to buy only to save money. The chief point emphasized was that Crisco was a richer, more wholesome food fat for cooking. Naturally, therefore, it was good news to all when Crisco found it could also be more economical.
I suppose that was good news.
It's more economical than lard in another way. It makes a richer pastry, and 1/5 less can be used. So you can use less and stretch it further. Furthermore, it can be used over and over again in frying foods. The price of Crisco is lower than the average price of the best pale lard throughout the year.
That is good to know. I'm very happy that I know that. Can you explain to me what pale lard is?
Yeah, I mean, lard used to be sold in like a bucket.
Okay.
Well, that was one option for a size.
I have
You just
extremely
a bucket-
limited
a
experience with
bucket
lard.
Of lard, yeah. And I always wonder, like, because Crisco canister is kind of reminiscent of a bucket, and I'm like, is that like a carryover? Because
It's
even in
probably-
1914, it looked like the canisters that it's still sold in now.
That's probably why it looks that way. Although it looks like a coffee ground, like
Yeah.
a thing of
I'm
coffee
trying
to
to
me.
see. I'm
but-
gonna take this out of frame for a second. Okay, talk
Wholesome
about.
food
Wait.
sure is a phrase. Oh, crystallized cottonseed oil, a modification of the phrase crystallized cottonseed
Ah,
oil. Crispo
okay.
and Christ were both
Yeah.
rejected names. Thank you, Iron Trout.
Also, this has become extremely self-reflective because in this picture we have a woman with a canister of Crisco and an older woman called the story of Crisco. Gone down the rabbit hole.
It's a
meta illustration.
the illustration has Meta. It is not owned by Meta. Also, we're not sponsored by Crisco.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Uh,
Oh, Rogan, apparently you don't look like you're sold on Crisco.
I have the look of someone who's not 100% sold on the wonders of Crisco. I grew up using it. I will say that. In my experience, most of the things that I used to use Crisco for, I'm either using butter or like baking spray for now. Like I use Pam and spray my things instead of using Crisco now. And I just find that more pleasant because I don't like to get my hands messy with the Crisco.
See, and
Hashtag not sponsored
Right.
by Pam either.
But like hashtag not sponsored, I have 100% drunk the Crisco, and I use it for many things.
Oh,
'Cause I-
and it's not a problem. Like we've used.
however, to be clear, I don't drink Crisco.
We
I
have
was making a
used
joke.
butter flavor Crisco in making pie crusts before, but when I was learning myself to do them and like really learning to make pie crusts, I was using butter. And so the recipe that I used called for butter. I learned using butter, so I used butter. And but yeah, I remember greasing pans by sticking a paper towel in the Crisco and just rubbing it all over the inside of a pan. Now I use spray instead because I don't like getting my hands all greasy. But that's a personal preference. It's not because it's a better product. I don't know which is better.
And Hannah, I think you're entirely correct. If you look at these older publications, their logo has barely changed at all. It's almost exactly the same as
Thank
it
you for
was,
joining us.
back in the day.
Yeah, so we zoomed in on the picture. I'm
We
gonna
did
zoom
zoom
back
in on
out.
the here. So there's Crisco, and then we should probably move on to something else. I don't know. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, but anyway,
This is not unusual to get
I know.
bogged down really early in some really interesting things at the top of screen.
In the further story of Crisco, if you want to see their factory, look at how sanitary it is. They make things in a room with glass walls, and they don't touch it. They fill it by machinery, which is very commonly a product advertising thing that people like to promote as the Industrial Revolution rose.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's touching this. It's all machines. Rise of
Which-
the robots. Automatic labeling. Yeah.
I understand from an advertising perspective and why people at the time would have considered that more sanitary.
We know it's
It
not.
probably
You've read a lot of. Yeah, we know it's not.
was
but-
probably less sanitary.
But the air in this building is drawn through an apparatus which washes and purifies it, removing the dust. It says so right here.
Yeah, but the machines were probably really
Oh yeah, filthy.
disgusting
Then
on
they
the
were
inside
full of
and
Crisco,
not-
and then
not
everything
cleaned
sticks to the
very
Crisco
often.
in the machine.
And, yeah.
Yeah. You know, but Crisco banishes that lardy taste in foods. Because
Who wants that lardy taste?
Yeah.
It's a strictly vegetable product without, which, I mean, honestly, I don't know when the idea for like the vegetarian movement
Oh, it was much earlier than this.
started, but so Crisco would have been something that would have been available for use for people who were on a vegetarian diet. Because it's vegetable oil.
Yeah, there were, the vegetarian movements in the United States had started much sooner than this. So this is certainly, that's a whole other can of Crisco, is like foods that were developed. That's a different show we need to do.
I did the history of diabetes, which we got into a lot of diets.
But like the rise of vegetarian diets in the U.S. for religious or dietary reasons led to the development of a fascinating number of products.
Well, you still need to come on and do the Kellogg's episode.
That would be part of that show. Anyway. Yeah, so they're like, but hey, it tastes, if you use this, you don't have hidden flavors, and whatever you're making tastes more like what's in it.
We should bring you back at least once a semester.
Yeah, we can do that. I got lots of food history to talk about.
Keep your parlor and your kitchen strangers.
Yeah.
Kitchen odors are out of place in the parlor. When frying with Crisco, as before explained, it is not necessary to heat the fat to smoking temperature. Ideal frying is accomplished without bringing Crisco to its smoking point. On the other hand, it is necessary to heat lard smoking hot before it is of the proper frying temperature. Remember also that when lard smokes and fills the house with its strong odor, certain constituents have been changed chemically to those which irritate the sensitive membranes of the alimentary canal. I wonder if frying fish would smell of fish.
Well, but as they
they
point
mention
out,
fish later on.
Because Crisco doesn't smoke until it hits a higher heat point, you don't have to wait for it before you can fry, so therefore the smell is not going to go all over your house. Which is why you can fry onions and then fish and then potatoes, and not everything tastes
the same Crisco can be used for frying fish, onions, potatoes, or any food.
Even donuts.
Crisco does not take up flavors or odors. After frying each food, merely strain out the food particles.
Merely. So it's you can fry in any order you want, and it's not going to make things taste bad.
Apparently, they think it is important to give children Crisco foods.
Yeah, it's because it's good for digestion.
It's right behind your head.
It's good for digestion. That's why. Apparently. Supposedly. So.
As more attention is given to present feeding, less attention need be given to future doctoring. It's one of these products where we know it still exists today. It's still used today. It has valid uses. It's been a proven product because it's been around a long time. But the way they write about it in here, it sounds like patent medicines. Like this is written the same way that ads for patent medicines were written.
We have to cover this phrase. A woman can throw out more with a teaspoon than a man can bring home in a wagon.
Manufactured health benefits. Iron trout, yes. I need to read this paragraph because kitchen expense comes by the spoonful. Think of the countless spoonfuls of expensive butter used daily, where economical Crisco would accomplish the same results at 1/3 the cost. Oh my gosh.
Welcome, Raiders.
16-bit Eric, welcome in. I'm gonna hopefully be able to go face for a moment without.
You're gonna go face
without echo. That's my hope. Hi, welcome to the stream. I'm Rogan27. Thank you for rating Eric. If anybody is watching who is not already following 16-bit Eric, please drop a follow. He is a very, very wonderful streamer. Does lots of stuff with tabletop role-playing games and just that whole industry in general, and is just a stellar person. You're joining us. You've rated in on the Rogan27 channel. This show goes out to both twitch.tv/Rogan27 as well as twitch.tv/VTUL Studios. This show is called Archival Adventures, and it is the once-a-week show where I share materials from the archives and special collections at Virginia Tech. I am Rogan27, otherwise known as Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, Community Collections Archivist at Virginia Tech. And joining me today is fellow archivist Kira Dietz, who incidentally is one of my mods. And we're talking about baking advertisements, the good, the bad, and the sad. And right now we're in the middle of looking at a book called The Story of Crisco.
Guess what we're learning about? It's the history of Crisco.
So hang out, have fun. Thank you so much for the raid, Eric. And thank you, Kitty Lowe, for the follow. I'm going to switch us back to looking at the document now.
Because we were learning about how a man can throw, or woman can throw out more with a teaspoon than a man can bring home in a wagon.
Sure. It should be remembered that 1/5 less Crisco than butter may be used because Crisco is richer than butter. The moisture, salt, and curd, which butter contains to the extent of about 20%, are not found in Crisco, which is all 100% shortening. Remember also that Crisco will average a lower price per pound throughout the year than the best pale lard. And you can use less Crisco than lard, which is a further saving. For those just joining us, this book is from 1914, and it is the 5th edition in 1914.
Of the Story of Crisco, which was only first created in 1911. So they were really getting on those editions.
Yeah. So, claiming, I don't see any problem with the text of that. It was the title that was the problem, saying a woman can throw out more with a teaspoon than a man can bring home in a wagon. The text under there wasn't problematic.
No, it's
the
just
title
about
was crappy.
how things were economical. Certainly women are more economical than men. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that.
I've heard it speculated that Wallace McCaws, who invented Crisco, made his house Crisco colored white. Interesting, Philip. I have no idea if that's true.
Which would be not quite a classic pure white. It would be a slightly...
Iron trout. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about what color Crisco white would be.
I think it is an off-white
Yeah,
color.
it's not like off-white, but it's not a pure white.
The face is swapped because we realized that they needed to be, and I fixed 2 scenes, but
Not all of them.
not that
Actually,
one
we're just
yet.
really fast, and we're switching chairs, and you didn't know it.
Yeah.
So we also have fun and interesting facts about Crisco. So some good selling points here.
Crisco
It's
is being used
by lots of people in lots of places.
Yep.
Domestic science experts, again, back to Ellen Richards and other women who are teaching domestic science.
These aren't really fun facts, though. Ooh,
They're
here's
brief
one, though.
and interesting facts. They're not fun.
Crisco is kosher.
Yeah.
Rabbi Margulies of
Right.
New York, who is that a famous rabbi in 1914?
Maybe, I don't know.
Said that the Hebrew race, I'm not sure I've ever seen it written quite that way, had been waiting 4,000 years for Crisco. Did this person really say that? It's not in quotes. I wonder.
It's not in quotes.
It conforms to the strict dietary laws of the Jewish people. I think we need a historic terms in both channels, please, because I'm trying to make adjustments as I read, but
Oh, that's not it. It helps if I remember.
it's historical terms.
Yes.
Hannah, thank you. I did get there slightly before you on the library channel, but thank you.
Also, at the very end of this page, we just have thrown in there, campers find Crisco helpful in many ways.
Not wrong.
Because apparently it doesn't melt as much as butter or lard would in a hot climate. It might be slightly more shelf stable.
I mean, in my experience, they are not incorrect
Yeah.
in that claim.
Yeah, it's convenient. Oh, we gotta go. It's convenient, a handy package to pack, doesn't melt so quickly in transit, can fry everything as we've already established. You can put it back in the can to harden when you're done with it. It's got its own packaging.
So the link that Philip dropped, which I will copy over to the other channel here. Maybe.
I also love, so practically every grocer who has a good trade in Crisco uses it in his own home, right? So you got to use the product you sell.
Of course.
I love the Crisco is sold by net weight. You pay only for the Crisco, not the can. So lending further to the economical piece of things.
And then you have a can to use afterwards.
Bread, well, that's actually here too.
Oh.
Because we have bread and cake keep fresh and moist when you use much longer when you use Crisco. And then women have written that they use empty Crisco tins for canning vegetables and fruits and as receptacles for kitchen and pantry use.
This is long before Crisco Disco. Hi, Silica. I don't know what Crisco Disco is. Please explain. Is that sexual? Is that NSFW?
Yeah.
Please clarify. The link that was shared is a link to an article about historical homes of America about the Crisco Mansion. And apparently that is Crisco White.
New York City Disco Club.
Ah, okay. I was not familiar, but yeah, definitely long before that.
And then they have more information about the science of it and why it doesn't use certain things that appear in other products, because if you're gonna do a good job advertising your product, you should of course bash your competitors.
Well, yeah.
Is that not how that works?
To understand something of the Crisco process, it is necessary first to know that there are three main constituents in all the best edible oils: linolene, oleine, and stearine. I thought I was going to be able to read that, and then I stumbled over oleine. The chemical difference between these three components is solely in the percentage of hydrogen contained, and it is possible by the addition of hydrogen to transform one component into another. Though seemingly so much alike, there is a marked difference in the physical properties of these components. Linolene, which has the lowest percentage of hydrogen, is unstable and tends to turn rancid. Oleine is stable, has no tendency to turn rancid, and is easily digested. Stearine is both hard and indigestible. The Crisco process adds enough hydrogen to change almost all the linolene into nourishing, digestible oleine. Mark well the difference in manufacture between Crisco and lard compounds. In producing a lard compound, to the linolene, oleine, and stearine of the original oil is added more stearine, usually animal, the hard, indigestible fat, in order to bring up the hardness of the oil. The resultant compound is indigestible and very liable to become rancid.
Yes, Iron Trout, that was the precursor to the product that they put in the fat-free chips that had horrible consequences.
Yep.
That was called oleine, and that was a later derivative of the same thing.
It was a derivative of oleine. Yeah, that's what Iron Trout was asking.
Yeah. Okay, so because we've been bogged down in certain things, so I'm gonna pick something else for us to look at.
We've been swimming in Crisco.
Ugh. I don't recommend swimming in Crisco. I mean, it's a little thick for that. It might be kind of.
It'd be like Scrooge McDuck in swimming in the gold.
So we'll take a quick look at this item because this is in the same vein. I'm leaving book tag like I do.
No, I know better at this point to try and keep them together.
And this is Spry, which was a Crisco competitor.
Also, I did look up on the food timeline the other brands of vegetable shortenings.
Yeah.
We have Cotyline.
Yes,
from
I have stuff on
1892.
Cotyline in
I know
our
we have a lot of Cotyline
Yes.
stuff. Crisco from 1911. Primex from 1926. Parfait from 1930. Spry from 1932. Swiftning
we have stuff
from
on.
47. And Golden Fluffo from 1955 that were all marketed to American consumers as digestible and pure.
And that's just vegetable shortenings. If we got into margarines and like the oleomargarine.
Oh yeah, there's a separate section for that.
So anyway, this is Spry, which was a similar product. I did want to show this just because it's got some fun colors.
Iron Trout, you think your grandma had this cookbook? I'm curious to see how good this cookbook is.
Well, this is from 1949.
I'm going to zoom out a little.
Lever Brothers Company, which was the company that owned Spry, also came in a canister.
Lever Brothers, to me, I don't know why, but it just makes me think of soap, probably because of Lever 2000, the brand.
Yeah.
But clearly more than that. I don't even know if that soap actually hashtag not sponsored.
Hashtag not sponsored. Yeah, so again, hey, this is going to make tender, flaky pies, as we're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
You can fry whatever you want in it in any order. Everything's digestible. Even the children can eat their fill of fried foods if you use...
So, question. We mentioned famous cooks and association with brands.
Yes.
And then we mentioned brands making up fictional famous cooks.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Aunt
Aunt
Jenny?
Jenny is not real.
Okay, so
I'm
Aunt
not
Jenny
100% sure, but I'm
is
fairly certain she is
like Betty Crocker.
like Betty Crocker.
In that
Like,
she does not exist.
because
or Marie
but
Callender.
Look how trustworthy she is.
Marie Callender
Because
as well.
she's Aunt Jenny. She's
I don't-
very trustworthy.
I know. Yeah, Betty Crocker is fictional.
Yes.
Marie Callender is fictional too, right?
I can't remember.
I assume so. I don't know for certain on Marie Callender though. Anyway.
And this one, the other reason I wanted to do this one is because it has some lovely 1940s Technicolor illustrations. So of course we have the Spry kitchen where you can see how they use the Spry and they're testing all the recipes. We have these delightful Technicolor dream. We have the
Eggnog pie.
We have the cartoon-like story of
It's a
making pie
comic
crust.
book.
It's a comic book about making pie crust with Spry.
No, it's seriously. This is
I know.
This is a comic strip
So
about.
talk about advertising. That's
to
why I
learn-
wanted
yeah.
to grab this. I was like, this is a
Amazing.
different approach.
And what was this 49?
Yes.
So perfect time to be tying into the comic book
Yeah.
craze.
Yeah.
They don't have. It doesn't appear to be like lettered.
I do want to point out that I think they missed an advertising thing here. Why not call it the Spry crust?
You're not wrong. Although, no portmanteau today. And were in 40s.
I had been responsible for this cookbook. It would have been the Spry
But you're
crust.
not wrong. It should be the Spry
It should-
crust.
Spry crust. Somebody take my points away from me. So we have, this is a lot of pie crusts, a lot of pie, filled pies, different kinds of colonial pumpkin pie, slipped custard pie.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah.
Beat eggs slightly, add sugar and salt, add milk and vanilla, strain into buttered 9-inch pie pan, sprinkle with nutmeg, set pan in larger pan of hot water, and bake in moderate oven, 35 to 40 minutes. Let the custard cool at room temperature.
Oh.
Don't refrigerate to hasten the cooling. Just let it cool. Okay, loosen custard thoroughly from the pan with a knife.
So and then you slide it into the pie. So it's baked separately from the crust.
Oh.
You make the custard filling in the pie crust, and then you slide the custard into the pie crust.
And their claim, this slipping method makes the perfect custard pie, crisp, flaky undercrust, so you don't get a soggy bottom.
Yeah, it avoids the soggy bottom. Spry, getting you away from those soggy bottoms.
Although I have not experienced a soggy bottom in my custard
I have.
pies.
Well, I've experienced soggy bottoms in my quiches, but that's a different story.
Because I par cook my crust.
Well, that's, yeah. So, we have a lot of more we can make our own. There's Spry pastry mix, so they had their own Bisquick
Specially
knockoff.
formulated. Okay. Oh wait, that's a powder.
That's a dry thing.
Like
yeah,
Bisquick.
It's
Okay.
like a Bisquick, yep.
Cool.
I love to look at the,
It's so fun to be able to have it give me a guided tour for once.
yeah. So we got cakes and Mom's Big Gingerbread,
Oh gosh, good little gingerbread. Sorry,
but also Mom's Big Gingerbread.
I saw the title and it made me think of the
Gingerbread
book.
Boy? Yeah, we already started. Yeah. Woo, we're coming full circle, y'all, and I didn't even plan it. So we have another comic book about cake success and how we can use a one bowl method for.
So this is just.
Wait. Shadows of Life asked about ice cream sauce,
ice
so
cream
we're gonna
sauce.
back up.
Let's do that.
Ice cream sauce would be just a flavored sauce for ice cream. So, we might put chocolate syrup on ice cream, but there were other butterscotch, things like that. This was just a nice way to make a sweet sauce to go on your
Cool.
your ice
So
cream
this
or
one
your
is
puddings or your
vanilla,
dumplings.
but you
yeah.
could flavor it with anything, honestly.
Yep.
You can make it like a butterscotch sauce or coconut sauce. Or,
Yeah. Put it on puddings or dumplings or ice cream.
So I wanted to point out,
Yes.
because we're looking at ads, and we should ask whether good, bad, or sad, but
Yeah.
because they went comic book here, it evokes the comics, but it's missing an essential element of them. And I saw it before, and it's even more blatant here. So they've got the title, and the title has been lettered. Or at least looks like it's been lettered. It could just be a font. And then the also appear to be at least evocative of comic book lettering. And lettering is the handwriting of the words, and it like the words in comic books, especially in this era, were drawn by an artist, and often that artist was not credited with doing the lettering. And so they've got that, but then when you get to this title, it's typeface. And all the instructions are typeface. And like, it would have been so much better, and it would have fit the genre better, and it just would have been that extra level of perfection to the act of evoking comic book, have these also be lettered.
I made a poll, but I made a typo in it, and now I feel bad. I don't know what I meant. I made a public bad, or except I said sad. I meant sad. But, you know, people bad or say. So we have about the one cake method. So we can learn more about all these different cakes we can make. Pineapple refrigerator cake. How to take care of a
if
cake.
anybody on the V2L Studios channel wants to vote as well, you can just type in good, bad, or sad.
Yeah. I think I could create a poll on that channel too.
Yeah, we could. But
let's see.
Yeah. We have a tie between good and sad, or maybe
fair.
maybe
I should
good
have
and
probably
say.
let people look at the rest of it because we didn't get to some of the brightly pink colored cakes.
We haven't done 70s gelatin dishes yet.
Well, we're gonna have to do. We talked about doing a gelatin show. That'll be my next guest appearance. Maybe is the gelatin show
That or Kellogg's.
or Kellogg's. We've got my next two.
They're
guest
equally
appearances
as
lined up.
horrifying.
Yeah, they are in different ways. We got my next two shows lined up, I guess. Yeah, you can use it for savory dishes, your chicken pies, your veal, your fried. You can fry your chicken in it, of course.
Okay.
That doesn't look like fried chicken though.
We are
Yes.
about 15 minutes out.
I
Can
know.
we speed round through
Yes.
a bunch of actual advertisements? Like,
Yeah, I just wanted to pull out this fun.
like the books have been great, and they have been ad related. I'd like to go actual like ads, and we can talk good, bad, or sad.
Did we not pull the food advertising collection? I thought we did.
I don't think it was on the list.
Okay.
Which I
Well,
wondered about, but
Then you have to vamp while I find something.
hello,
I
my
don't
baby.
remember.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my
list is.
ragtime gal. It feels like that was appropriate for this episode and where we are so far. So while Kira looks for a set of ads for us to look at real quick, and we're just gonna like have fun looking through a bunch of advertisements.
I don't know if I actually pulled anything with straight up advertising.
Well, we can do
but
pamphlets.
We'll
Pamphlets
do
are
pamphlets.
fine. The next episode coming up next week on Wednesday, Archival Adventures. It's just me again, and it's just me. I'm sorry, but the episode is going to be Winter Solstice Story Time.
Ooh.
I have pulled some items from our speculative fiction collection, and I've identified a couple of sci-fi short stories from old pulp magazines and whatnot. I tried my best to find holiday-related ones, but I don't know how well I did. But so the plan is I pulled those, and I pulled images from our collection that show winter scenes. And so we're going to throw up winter... No,
No, we're not going to throw up.
We're not going to vomit. I'm going to put up winter scenes as the background and read to you stories from the Pulp Fiction collection for the winter solstice next Wednesday. That is the plan. Now, back to some baking ads as we close out this week.
I don't know.
What
I
we
pulled
got?
a couple of folders.
No, yeah, that's great. Let's just take a look and see what we got.
This is from the
Junket.
Hansen Laboratory, which they made a bunch of different. So there'll be a bunch of different things in here. Another folder we get.
Junket makes milk into delicious desserts. Vanilla, chocolate, lemon, orange, raspberry, coffee. Takes but 1 minute to make. The Junket folks.
Yep.
Little Falls, New York,
New York,
and
yeah.
Toronto, Canada. Apparently they had a raspberry one shown on the cover.
Yeah.
So this is which we're wanting to show this.
Yeah, I was going to show the lovely color picture.
I zoomed it really far, so it's hard to orient exactly where we want to go. Here we go. Coffee junket with puffed rice. Raspberry junket. And lemon junket Bavarian. So this is like pudding, like instant
but it
pudding.
was a slightly different texture.
Okay.
Yeah. So. And there's some other junket ads in there because that was a product that they made.
Milk and milk foods in diet planning. A pudding company without a predator for their spokesperson. Oh, Iron Trout. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't go, like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't paid enough attention to know whether Jell-O bears any responsibility there or not. I don't know. Coffee junket sounds like a meeting. It does kind of. Let's see. So this is a booklet. These are pamphlets, not necessarily ads.
Yeah, some of them will have ads in them, which is why I grabbed them.
All right, so is this just who? I want to know who this is from. Who is actually putting this out? Because it seems to just be advertising milk.
Yeah.
It's the Junket folks. This is Junket. But this booklet, as its title implies, deals with the important food values and uses of milk and milk foods in diet planning. There are also convenient reference tables giving vitamin and mineral requirements. Examples: acid, ash, and alkaline ash foods, as well as special charts on the composition of milk and milk foods, because rennet custards are milk foods, and they have many uses in the diet.
By the way, do you know where rennet comes from?
I don't.
Yeah, it comes from the stomach lining of cows and other related mammals. Mammals.
I had some thought that it was
Not
related, but I for certain.
So
we have a whole booklet on how to make rennet custards and ice cream. That is the title of this booklet. And this is also from Junket.
Yep, all the same, they're trying to really push that Junket.
Yep. It's just interesting to me that they were advertising milk. Because we just did an episode on the American Egg Board recently, and this is a company advertising milk without throwing their name. I mean, they do get to their name, but they're talking about specifically milk and advertising milk, and then they add them something.
And the other thing I like about this one is it has the tested and approved Good Housekeeping Bureau.
The other one had American Medical Association.
So does this one. Yeah, and then and the acceptance of the Council on Foods of the American Medical Association. Got some painting and party book for kids.
The party and painting for children.
Yeah, once again, advertising for kids.
Definitely advertising milk.
And Junket.
Junket, because I knew when they wrote Moo on.
And again, this is how we get the parents. We get the kids.
It seems like most of this is Junket.
Yeah, I think so. That was their main product.
I'm going to move to the next folder.
Here.
Folder. You can pull more folders.
I will.
Just grab them at random. That's what we do on this show.
I don't know that I can do that.
that was why it stood out to me, because that was a private company doing the same thing that the modern commodity boards do. Because that would have been before those boards existed. Good things to eat. Let's see. This is a collection of my favorite hot breads. They are real treats for you and your family. Old favorite recipes often call for sour milk, yet if it is not available, you may easily make it to use in baking soda recipes. To make sour milk, simply place 4 teaspoons lemon juice or vinegar in a standard measuring cup, then fill to the 1 cup mark with sweet milk, or diluted evaporated milk. The resulting liquid is equal to natural sour milk or buttermilk when it is best for baking. White vinegar makes a whiter product than brown vinegar. Sour cream may similarly be made by cream, vinegar, or lemon juice. Our Hammer brand and Tile baking soda meet all the requirements of the United States pharmacopoeia pure soda and can be used where bicarbonate of soda is prescribed.
Yeah.
Martha Lee Anderson.
Bicarbonate, not phosphate.
Right, and Research Test Kitchen, Church and Dwight Company Incorporated, Syracuse, New York. I have never heard of Church and Dwight Company.
But you have heard of Arm & Hammer.
I have not heard of Martha Lee Anderson. Yes, I've heard of Arm & Hammer. Did Church and Dwight become Arm & Hammer?
Sort of, yes. They also were still marketed as Church and Dwight, I believe, in Canada.
Okay.
And they became Arm & Hammer. Or they were connected to Arm & Hammer. And that's a little confusing.
I think this entire thing is going to be about basically Arm & Hammer.
This one is from California Packing Corporation, so rather than a particular food product, it's going to have different food products that were packaged by the company.
Del tomato sauce, a cooking sauce blended from red ripe tomatoes, peppers, and spices, according to our own original recipe. Do you know the many economies it offers? We sell millions of cans a year. There are no illustrations, I'm not going to read the entire thing.
Bummer.
Finally, at the very end, there's a picture of a can of Del Monte tomato sauce. And honestly, their logo does not look unfamiliar to me. I don't know if that's their current logo, because I don't know if I've seen Del Monte on the shelves anytime recently.
Yeah, that's close to their current.
But I honestly have not really looked either. Then we have Kemp's Sun-Raid Tomato Juice Recipes.
Hashtag not sponsored.
I'm not a food person, so definitely not sponsored. Many delightful ways to serve Kemp's Sun-Raid tomato juice. In the rapid rise of tomato juice to natural popularity as a food, drink, and appetizer, its many delightful uses in cookery have been generally overlooked. The purpose of this book is to help remedy that oversight. The rich red color, the piquant flavor, the health-promoting vitamins, indeed all the qualities of fresh, vine-ripened tomatoes are available in Kemp's Sun-Raid tomato juice, and they are available in a most convenient form for many new and thrilling uses. Yeah. So, if anybody has opinions on whether these are good, bad, or sad,
I snuck in some gelatin because I always do.
Although I could say catsup.
Catsup.
Recipes with catsup. Oh gosh, this has got to be from the 70s.
Oh, that's delightfully colorful.
Fabulous aspect pictured on front cover. 2 tablespoons of unflavored gelatin, 1 cup of boiling water, 1 bottle, 14 ounces of Del Monte catsup, 1 1/4 cups, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm not going to read all the instructions, but that fabulous aspect.
You wouldn't feel fabulous if you did that. I completely agree.
Who wants an entire aspic that's flavored of... it probably tastes better than just regular aspic, honestly. But who wants aspic? I've only had cold duck and aspic, and it was not for me. How about Del Monte crushed pineapple? For delicious desserts, fruit cocktails, and salads.
Look, it's still in can form.
Yeah. I have to look and see if there's not like cranberry sauce in here. Is there?
No, Del Monte didn't produce
can form.
You'd have to pull the cranberry folders. There's multiple cranberry folders for the cranberry products. Yeah.
I think I did pull that because we did Thanksgiving stuff last year.
Stuff one. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Whatever.
We also have the Del Monte fruit book. Yeah, it was like the pineapple version of cranberry sauce.
There you go. To make appetites glad every day in the year.
Aww. Is this a good, bad, or sad?
Oh, there you go. There's some peaches in full color.
So many tempting ways to serve canned fruits. And especially Del Monte peaches. Packed 2 ways, halved or sliced.
Boy, they made everything. Tomatoes, tomato sauce, ketchup, pickles, prunes, salmon, sardines, tuna. Also, all these other things.
Also, green lima beans. Carrots, hominy, string beans, pimentos, beets, pumpkins, pork and beans, sauerkraut, ripe olives, olive oil, chili sauce, sweet potatoes, raisins, dried fruits, and many others.
Many others. Look. It would be quite a can.
What a package that would be.
Yeah. Okay, we got to do some meaty goodness here.
Oh yes. Ooh, it's treat. Armor treat. I say that like I know what it is. I've literally never heard of it before.
It's like spam, but it's like spam, but not
okay.
spam.
It's Armor's version of spam.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a meal in a minute meat.
Let Treat help solve your mealtime problem. Delicious, ready to serve meat for every occasion. Treat, an easy to serve and economical meat, can help you solve any mealtime problem. You can use it for cold lunches, hot dinners, sandwiches, or snacks. You can fry it, broil it, bake it whole in the loaf, or dice it, add to casserole dishes. No matter how you fix it, your family will love it. Treat is made of tender, juicy pork meat, deliciously seasoned. It is vacuum cooked right in the tin, in natural meat juices. No bone. Treat is all solid meat. Remember, always look for the familiar blue and yellow Treat label at your favorite food store, in round or square tins. Armor's Meal in a Minute Meat.
Now, I realize meat is not a baked good or an ingredient in a baked good. However, that doesn't mean they have not, in fact, baked this into things.
And I was going to say, I'm literally wearing an apron for Mrs. Lovett's meat pies today.
Yeah.
Which are baked goods.
Yeah.
So meat is an ingredient in baked goods. Just like beef suet used to be an ingredient in mincemeat pie.
Here we go. Baked treat with raisin sauce. There you go. You can bake it.
1 can for treat. 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of sugar, ½ cup of orange juice, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. Place loaf of treat in baking pan. Score. Add 1/4 cup of brown sugar and bake in 350-degree oven for 30 minutes. Add raisins to 1 1½ cups of water and bring to boil. Cook until soft. Combine cornstarch, sugar, and fruit juices and add to raisins. Low fire until clear. It's like you're going to cook it outside, but
probably.
Pour sauce over treat to serve. Yeah, baked spam, essentially.
And then this is fun because it's got like the whole, here's what you learn from the label, so more advertising.
The label on a can of Armor's Star Canned Meats gives you the complete story of the contents of that can, how many it will serve, and how to prepare it for your table. This sounds kind of scary. The government inspection legend on each label implies not only that the product itself, but the label statements regarding it have been approved. Look for these facts on the descriptive labels of every Armor canned meat.
Yeah.
1. The Armor Star brand, your assurance of consistent high quality in all meat products. 2. Armor & Company's name and address. 3. The name of the product. 4. The weight in ounces or pounds.
5. The government inspection legend proving that the U.S. inspectors have helped to guard every step from selection of meat and formula to the sanitary conditions
Selection of meat.
of the manufacturer.
This is
6.
what's left over. There's no selection process for canned meat.
6. Ingredients. 7. Directions for opening. Amount in household measures or number of pieces. 9. Number of servings. And 10. Recipes, if space on label permits.
Yeah, only if on label permits.
Okay, so when I read the complete story of the contents of that can, I was frightened for a moment that it was going to include the biography of whatever animals had become
the treat.
loaf of meat. And I am thankful that that was not what they meant. I only want that when it's my chickens
There you go.
and it's I'm buying eggs. Why does it need to be guarded? I'm not certain how to say this. I'm gonna go Cremel.
Pretty sure that, yeah.
5 cents per package. 4 delicious flavors: chocolate, vanilla, coffee.
And it is going to be your solution to your dessert problems. So that's how it's advertised.
I mean, that's great. I didn't know I had dessert.
Yeah, well, apparently you do.
And I went with Cremel. When I first saw it, I read Cremel.
Yeah, that's how I pronounce it, but I don't know.
But after saying Cremel, I'm fairly certain it is Cremel because this is a pudding product.
Yeah.
But I read it that way because I was trying to match the sort of like sci-fi flourish of the title on the ad. So I think this is good and not bad or sad.
Yeah. And there are lots of different, I got a bunch of different Cremel ads in here. And this was actually from a company, this was from the Corn Products Refining Company, which made Caro
syrup.
Caro syrup. So this was another product that they made at one point. There's a whole bunch of these.
We are
times.
Something that you know of.
That's okay. I think that's a good one to not an ad or a bad one.
Apparently, or does it come in bar form?
I don't.
What is
It comes
that?
in. I'm assuming it's like pudding. That there's a package in the box. It just comes in these boxes that look like little bricks.
Okay. But this is made by the same company that makes Mazola oil, which is still around and sold today.
Yep.
Caro syrup,
Yep.
still around and sold today. And Argo starch, still around and sold today.
Yep.
But I've never heard of Cremel.
Yeah, I don't think it lasted very long. It's like the infamous whip and chill incident in Jell-O's past, which we'll cover on the Gelatin Show.
Oh dear. So, yeah, we do sadly have to end. We have literal boxes that we didn't touch.
Yeah.
But we do have tear down to do. And, there's a winter weather advisory, so apparently heading home right when work ends would be good tonight. Oops, all corn products. Thank you all so very, very much for joining us. I think because Kira has joined us today for a stream, I think Kira needs to decide who we're rating.
I don't even know what our options are.
I'm gonna switch us back.
Okay.
We're opposite now. Let me see who might be on the Twitch.
So if I come back in spring semester, am I supposed to do gelatin or what else did we talk about? Or Kellogg's? What's the vote, y'all? Do you want me to do gelatin next or Kellogg's? We'll talk about the whole Kellogg legacy. It won't just be...
Kellogg's is a whole story.
Well, we won't cover certain things that are maybe not appropriate for stream, but...
These are some of the ones that I see.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong with the aquarium. I think we should go back to the aquarium.
Okay.
We don't want to fry the fish at the aquarium and spry. That would be wrong.
Key Squared is voting for Kellogg's.
Okay. I mean, we'll cover both of them.
We'll
if
get to
I'm
them
gonna
both
show up a
eventually.
lot, but you know.
The story of Kellogg's we need to do. It is
From breakfast cereal to enemas and back again.
It's the story of Kellogg's. I will put that on. Well, while we're here, I'm just going to pull up the 2023 calendar. Coming up at the beginning of the year, on the 4th of January, I have the Joe Miller collection, which is all about the use of
Barcodes.
retail space. Then I have the Daniel Wright papers, which has a lot about the Panama Canal, as well as
I thought you were going to say Hannah Montana, and I was like, wow.
the Panama Canal, as well as Greece and Turkey during World War II and Burma during World War II. And then we're revisiting the Melvin Go papers to look at some more. I believe we're going to be doing his flight safety stuff as a flight safety inspector, investigating plane crashes, where previously we did pilot stuff. I don't have anything yet scheduled for January 25th if we wanted to do Kellogg's then, or we could do it later in the
we'll check my calendar and see if I'm available on the 27th.
But yeah, and then I've got beginning of February, Association for the Preservation of Virginia Antiquities, Montgomery County, Virginia. There was something specific I wanted from that, and I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
We'll see. And then mid-March, we've got Girl Scouts in honor of their anniversary, and yeah, we've got some stuff coming up around Earth Day. I have the records of the Virginia Tech Recycling Coordinator. So we should have some good times. But let's go ahead and set up and raid on over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium.
Yay,
we have, it's been a few weeks, I think, since we did the aquarium, or I could just be misremembering, but we'll pop on over and we'll say hello to the fishes in the fish tank. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today for this bit of chaos that was baking ads. Thank you so very, very much, Kira. Where can people find you should they wish to on the internet?
Do I want to tell people where to find me on the internet? Well, as I said, I am the Food Timeline Wrangler, so you can find me on the Food Timeline Twitter account for now. Mixed feelings about the bird.
I should look this way so I look like I'm looking at it.
Let's see, I gotta look the other way. This is very, which is just at Food Timeline on Twitter. You can find me all over Special Collections and University Archive stuff. So you can find me at VT, what are we, VT_SCUA. You can find me there. You can, you can find me, that's kind of it. I don't necessarily want people to find me everywhere. I gotta keep some secrets.
Well, thank you again for joining me on the stream today. And we look forward to having you back in the future.
Yeah.
And if you want to see Kira's previous appearance, available on the library's YouTube channel.
We talked about cocktails. It was fun.
There's an episode on holiday cocktails from a year ago. But yeah, we're gonna head on over. That was the end. We're off now because
Are the mics off?
Hang on, we're gonna be done. Actually done in a second. Because it rated without me because